In today's video, we're breaking down the perfect offseason for the Detroit Lions. We're going to go through literally everything to firing coaches, signing coaches, going through the cap, should there be restructures on specific players, re-signing free agents that are for the Detroit Lions, picking up free agents externally, as well as the NFL draft and re-signings. We're going to go through this whole darn thing. It's going to be a great video for you. But before we get into today's video, if you think it's a smart and sound idea to slap Brock Lesnar in the face, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because we talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors. Sometimes being a Lions fan, you can get beat up. Also, take that like button and throw it at Lesnar's face. Let's get into today's Lions offseason. And here we go, the Lions' perfect offseason plan. I went through it all for you, and this is what's going to be going on here. We're going to talk about coaching decisions. Lions obviously are going to have to pick up one new coach for sure, at least for the OC. We'll get into that. Cap ramifications, what it looks like now, what it's going to look like if the Lions do free up some cap. NFL free agents, your own, external, and the NFL draft. Here's some important dates, though, before we jump into it. Scouting Combine, early 2026. March 11, new league year. That's when free agency can sign. I can't wait for that. Late March, the annual meetings. New head coaches can start off-season workouts in April 6th. Not to us. Returning head coaches for us on the 20th. And 23 to 25, the NFL draft. Now, first, before we do our perfect off-seasons, we got to go through the coaches. And the current offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions is John Morton. And in my opinion, he is going to be fired. He did a F job this year. It's the whole reason he is not calling plays. He's going to get fired. We look at Kelvin Shepard, the Lions defensive coordinator, and I got to say, I give him a C-, not an F because of the injuries, but I'm not going to lie. I am looking towards the Lions picking up some new coordinators. So when it comes to the offense, I want the Detroit Lions to pick up Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator, former head coach of the New York Giants. Physical, offense, disciplined, run football, and play action. I think that would be ideal. I do want a change at defensive coordinator. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to have Brian Flores defensive coordinator or Rex Ryan. This idea came from Mike Valenti in 97 when the ticket to remove a coach from the Vikings. So the coaching staff would look like this. I think this would be a huge improvement over the current coaching staff. So let me know right now in the comments. Do you want Brian Flores, put BF, Brian Daboll, put BD, or both for BO? Give me your thoughts in the comments right now. Let's continue on with the perfect offseason plan, and let's look at the cap ramifications right now for the Detroit Lions. They don't got a lot of cap right now. It's not the best in the world for this team. They got to make up some cap space and cap room. So one of the ways that they can do this is do cap restructure, and that is from one specific player, and that's Jared Goff. Because right now his cap hit is $69 million. Literally the cap space of $22.87 million, dead cap of $63 million, base salary $55. That's a boatload. So how can we free up some money to pick up some free agents and re-sign some of our guys to help this team out? It's simple. We restructure Jared Goff's contract. That's what we do. We free up $30 million, and I think that would be a massive victory if they're trying to get players on this team for this year. Now, look, it is a issue, right? If you do restructure Jared Goff's contract, you're stuck with him for the next 3-4 years. But I think we're already stuck with him anyways. I think he's going to be in the plan. So in my opinion, restructuring his deal frees up some cap space, and that can be well. Another way to free up cap space is doing a trade, and that's David Montgomery. Now, I personally don't want to trade David Montgomery. I like him, but it just seems like we're going to be going for a divorce. So I had to come up with a trade, something that we can get something back from it. And I sent David Montgomery to the Chargers, and we receive a third-round pick, but we give them a 2026 sixth-round pick, so a pick swap. We don't have a third right now, so it gives us the third. It'd be a late third. Some draft picks, it's a little bit different from what we currently have, because we currently right now we have a first, a second, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and a seventh. We may have another fourth, too, because of the read. So the Lions will have some draft picks. So that will free up $5 million in cap space if they do that with David Montgomery. Again, I really don't want to do that, but it does feel like we're going for a divorce here. It definitely feels that way. Something I don't want, but definitely something that potentially could occur. I know I love him too, but he's frustrated with the offense right now. He's the seventh highest pace running back, and it's hard for me to believe with the Lions hurting in cap that they would keep him, potentially trade him away to get something in return. So far, I want you to grade my offseason plan. Again, I don't want to lose Montgomery, but it feels like that is going to be the case. Let's jump into free agency, talk about players that I don't believe is going to be returning, and there is a ton of them. So for here, I do believe all these players are not returning. These are a lot of players that we're used to seeing on this roster, and I think they're going to be good bye-bye. Joshua Paschal, second-year bust. Kayode Awosika, backup. Jalen Mills, backup. Zach Cunningham, backup. Arthur Maulet, backup. Trystan Cullen, backup. Dan Skipper, gone. Jamarco Jones, gone. DJ Reader, Alex Anzalone, and Kalif Raymond, someone that we've used to seeing on this team for the last couple of years. I do believe they're taking their exit. Same with Levi and Onwuzurike, who is injured. Davenport, for sure. I don't know, I got Dan Skipper and Jamarco Jones on there again, and Zeke Turner. So I have them leaving the Detroit Lions. What about re-signs? Here's my re-signs for the Lions here. Grant Stuard, linebacker. He can compete with Malcolm Rodriguez for the Alex Anzalone spot. Daniel Thomas, Al-Quadin Mohammed, who got a lot of sacks this year, plus 10. Avonte Maddox, Kyle Allen, cheap backup. You say, man, we need a better backup. We don't got the money, and he'll be cheap. Anthony Fursker, he deserves a shot to attempt to make the roster. Rock Ya-Sin, he's done good this year. Tom Kennedy, OG, Shane Zylstra, back in there to try to fight. Trevor Nowaski, linebacker. Tyrus Wheat, a decent edge that you can put up just for a backup role. Jake Bates, kicker. Malcolm Rodriguez, who will get a little bit of competition there, but I think the Lions should bring it back. Michael Deese, Jacob Sailors, and Roy Lopez, who I do think Roy Lopez deserves a chance to make that roster. Now, as you notice here, some players that we have used to seeing are no longer going to be on this team. They're getting older, and it's time for the Lions to move into a different direction. So what about free agent targets outside the organization? And I got one monster free agent target that I want the Lions to sign, and that's Tyler Linderbaum. Right there. Center from the Baltimore Ravens, and he is only 25 years old. He's one of the best centers in football. He will immediately come to the Detroit Lions offensive line and make it instantly better. He's a Frank Ragnow type of player. Plug and play. Tate Ratledge, right guard. Penei Sewell. That would be what I want to see. There's other players I would love to get that are on there. This next player here is unlikely, but I'd like for the Lions to at least attempt to see what he can do. And that's Trey Hendrickson, right? We've talked about him many times. I don't think that the Lions can do it. I'm going to give you a realistic pass rusher the Lions could sign in free agency. But if I am Brad Holmes, I am looking to make an explosion here. And I would try for Trey Hendrickson. Try. The words try. Here's who I think they potentially could get, who would be a little bit cheaper. AJ Epinesa from the Buffalo Bills. I don't think it's going to cost the Lions a whole lot to get him. He's only had 15 sold, 2.5 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. Yeah, there was some issues there, but he would be a cheap option. Another player the Lions could get would be Tariq Woolen, the cornerback from the Seattle Seahawks. Lions were rumored to be in the trade market for Tariq Woolen. He's a 6'2 corner, and I don't think it's going to cost the Lions a lot. And I think that would be a cheap option to help out in the secondary. Help out in the secondary, a cheap option for Lions. I'm all for it. Now, players I want the Detroit Lions to target and not necessarily bring in fully, but target to attempt to bring in. So let's go through this list here, who I would like the Lions to attempt to bring in. Al-Quadin Mohammed, Grant Stuard, Rockyason, Malcolm Rodriguez, Roy Lopez, AJ Benepisu just went in there. Arden Key. Again, I'm looking for one pass rusher. I don't care. You got Arden Key. You got Jalen Phillips in there. Get a pass rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. It's not going to cost a lot to get an Arden Key or a Jalen Phillips or AJ Epinesa opposite, right? One of those guys. We need to get a backup safety, so Cameron Curl from the Rams makes sense. The Lions, I do think, try to bring back Mick Robertson. Maybe we'll see, right? Kyle Allen, I do think the Lions will bring him back. Cheap deal. You go Sue here, Jake Bates, kicker. Yutur Gross-Matos, another pass rusher I want the Lions to get. It would be one of these guys. You're not going to get all of them, but one of these guys, right? Just to set that edge. Or Harrison Smith, sorry, is another safety that the Lions could get. Is a veteran. I know, look, we got injuries to both our guys. We need a veteran just to hold the fort down. I already talked about Fursker, Tariq Woolen, Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle. Look, we're losing a couple defensive tackles. He's an older veteran that can help it down. Same with Jordan or Cam Jordan. Those guys would be options to help, right? Let's go ahead and jump into the NFL draft and the importance of it. And we're going to just go through a couple selections here of the draft. The draft is coming here shortly, right, in April 23. Can't wait for the draft. The Lions got this. They may have another fourth-round pick. So kind of expect that they potentially could have another fourth-round pick there. That's the DJ Reed here. And with the first selection, I have the Detroit Lions doing an important, right now they're pick 17. I think it's actually going to be a little bit lower, but they need to get tackle here, and I'm going to go with Caden Proctor out of Alabama. We need to completely revamp this offensive line. Proctor here, if you're drafting high, in which we are, we're going to be picking relatively high. Get the tackle. Get the guy that's going to hold the fort down for the Lions offensive line for the next 12 years. You have Penei Sewell, you get Proctor, you get Linderbaum, and you have Ratledge. Mahogany can be on there. You have an offensive line that's young and dominant for many, many years, okay? That's the importance of it. And I would really, really like to see that. I do. And with the next selection here, I have the Detroit Lions in round 2, picking up Kenyatta Jackson, edge from Ohio State. 6.5 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, 16 solo. Another edge that you can put on that defense. And we're trying to get younger. We're trying to get some more pass rushers. We're trying to get better, right? That's the whole goal. All right, and here's a breakdown of my whole mock draft. You can see the video that I did a week ago if you want to really look at each prospect, but it shows you what I would have adding to the Lions roster. Edge, tackle, center/guard, safety, tight end, running back, linebacker, edge. So what would the offense, what would the defense look like after some of these moves? Well, this is what it would look like. Here's the offense. Caden Proctor would be left tackle, Christian Mahogany, left guard, Tyler Linderbaum, center, right guard, Tate Ratledge, and Penei Sewell. That is one hell of a offensive line. Now we lost David Montgomery, so we picked up Adam Randall in the draft. He's a big, gigantic running back with power. Now, if we do that with the defense, what would the defense look like with these moves here? Not much change, to be honest with you. You'd have AJ Epinesa over Marcus Davenport and potentially a Jalen Phillips, whoever you want it, Arden Key, Trey Hendrickson, opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, right? Pretty much the same thing in the secondary, but you would just have different depth. And Alex Anzalone is no longer here because I don't think he comes back. But I think if you get another pass rusher there and you put Tariq Woolen in the secondary with Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, Ennis Rakestraw, I think that would be pretty decent. We're working on a fixed income here, and the Lions are getting better. Also, you got to extend a couple players. I want the Lions to extend Jack Campbell. He is going to be getting a mega deal because he's an all-pro, and Jahmyr Gibbs as well. We need to have these guys on the roster. So grade my off-season plan A, B, C, D, or F. Give me your thoughts in the comments below. Adios.